Hi, this is Andrea for Beadaholique. In this video, I'm going to show you how to make a wrap bracelet, just like this one. In today's video, we're not going to be using skulls. This is just a special design for Halloween, but it's the same principle. And what you're going to need for this is you're going to need some cord, about 2 millimeters wide. We're using a rubber cord. You can use a faux leather, or you can use a waxed cotton. It's up to you. You're going to need a button. This one doesn't have a shank. I just threaded the cord right through the buttonholes. But today I'm going to be using one that I made myself with a little shank. To make the bracelet wrap around once, I have about 3 feet here, and you're going to have to suspend your cord somehow so you can work with both hands free. So I have this black box here because this is the easiest way I could think of showing you how to do this, because you're going to need to clamp this down. So I have 2 bulldog clamps. If you're making this at home, you can probably rig something up that it's you can tie it to, say, the leg of a table, which I've done before. I found that really helpful. But if not, this is a good kind of compromise. You can find a sturdy box and clamp it down, and you can do your weaving that way. So that's what we're going to do today. I'm going to go ahead and put the button on one end. To do that, I have my cord doubled up. I'm going to just insert one end through the shank on my button, pull it right down to the middle, and I'm going to tie a knot right behind that button shank. Just a simple overhand knot. So quickly, what I've done here is I just have a little scrap piece of material that I tied onto the shank of my button, and this is what I'm going to use to clamp this down to the side of my box here, because I don't want to damage the actual cord. And then once I'm done, I can just snip this right off. So I'm going to go ahead and clamp that down. I'm going to string my cord across the box. I'm going to clamp it down on the other side, and I'm going to spread it apart a little bit so I have room to work. And I don't mind ruining this side because I'm going to either be beading around it or I'm going to tie it into a knot, so I can worry about that later. First things first, I'm going to take my Griffin silk and I'm going to tie it in a knot around the top of my bracelet, right underneath the button. I'm going to do just a square knot. Simple overhand knot followed by another one. And that's right in the middle of my Griffin silk. You're going to need some beads. I'm using 6 millimeter today. I'm going to be using purple and these lovely olive green beads. You can do smaller beads. You can do 3 millimeter up to as large as what I have with the skulls. I think they're about 14 millimeter. Also today, you're going to need, I prefer using 2 needles. I've got 2 big eye needles. Now the Griffin silk comes with a needle at one end. I just went ahead and cut that off, and I'm going to use the big eye needles instead. But you can use the pre-existing needle if you like. By the way, this is size 2 Griffin. Now today we're only going to be making a single wrap. If you'd like to make a double or a triple wrap, just use twice as much and 3 times as much cord. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a big eye needle on each end of my Griffin silk. One on the right hand side, one on the left. To begin weaving, I'm going to take both needles and I'm going to put them through the middle of my cord, my two pieces of cord. So I'm starting out with my thread coming out of the middle of my bracelet. I'm going to add my first bead. I'm going to do a purple gemstone bead. I'm going to put my right needle through it, going the opposite direction, and my left needle crisscrossing. I'm going to pull tight. Now, ideally, what we want is we want the bead to be right in between the cord. And obviously, when you first start out, that could be a little difficult, but I'm going to try to just place it there for the time being. Once you add more beads, they'll all line up and fall into place. Moving on to our second bead, what we're going to do again is take both needles and go through the middle, just like we did before. We're going to add our second bead. Normally, you would use the same color string as you would cord, but like I said, I'm just using this bright orange so you can see what I'm doing, but also, if you like that design option, it's there for you. I have my second bead on. I'm going to do the same thing that I did previously, both needles through the center. I'm going to add another bead. Crisscross and pull tight until the new bead is snug up against the other two. Take both needles, go through the center. You'll get a rhythm pretty soon and figure out what tension works best for you, but you want to pull pretty snug so the beads aren't moving around too much. I'm going to add one more bead. I'm going to pull tight. One more time, I'm going to go through the center with both needles. Okay, I'm going to continue doing this until I reach the end of my bracelet, and then I will show you how to finish it. As you can see, I have most of my bracelet completed. You're going to want about 5 inches because the bracelet is going to be made adjustable with extra loops on the end that you can put your button through. So the smallest size is going to be around 6.5, 7 inches. So now that I have all of my beads sewn onto my cord, I'm going to remove my needles. I'm going to one last time put my thread through the inside. And I'm going to tie this off now. And you can do that several different ways. You can actually leave this long and tie the silk thread in with your knot. Just going to finish it off with a couple of overhand knots. On each side. So what I'm doing real quick is I'm just making kind of like the number 4, going up through and pulling tight. You can do that a few times just so it'll be a little more secure. So you can either leave it like this and trim it off and possibly put a tiny little dab of glue, like GS Hypo Cement, on the knots so they're not going to go anywhere. Or I'm going to show you how to tie it into the rest of the loops for the clasp. So you're going to remove your bracelet from your working surface. And like I said before, I have this extra piece of string on there. I'm just going to go ahead and cut that off because we don't need that anymore. Okay, now I'm going to take my thread and my cord together. And I'm simply going to make an overhand knot. Bring it up as close to your beads as you can go without making it too scrunched up. Now if your thread is the same color as your cord, this isn't going to matter at all, so you won't be able to see that, and it's a good way to keep the thread very secure on there. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and cut off the excess thread right now. To make this adjustable, I need to make several different loops. So to make the first one, I'm just going to kind of roughly measure how much space I would need for my button to pass through. So I'm going to need about maybe 3/4 of an inch. So I'm going to just eyeball it and make another very tight overhand knot. Just going to make sure that that's going to fit. That should be just about perfect. So I'm going to go another about 5/8 to 3/4 of an inch away, equal lengths. I'm going to make another overhand knot. Now all I have to do is cut off my excess cord. I always like to do it on the bias at an angle just because it looks a little nicer. And there you have your finished wrap bracelet. Now once again, this is just a single wrap. You can do it as long as you'd like. You can have it wrap around as many times as you like. And it's a fun little project, and you can make many variations of this very same bracelet. So have fun with it, and I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. Thanks for watching.